Today, we're going to be talking about an well, maybe not unheard of, but not necessarily a commonly known sequel to a beloved title that has had plenty re-releases, physical and otherwise. We're going to be talking about Pokemon Mewtwo Returns. You're looking at my VHS copy. I have a clamshell VHS copy of this, and the tape is still in good condition to this day. I had to dig this out of storage because I remembered I had this copy. I don't have the DVD of Mewtwo Returns, sadly, because it never had a re-release. The only release of this movie on DVD is the original DVD release a long time ago, over 20 years ago. The same thing for the Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie DVD, not Dark Side of Dimensions, but the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie. That one also never had a re-release to my knowledge. I could not find one. I had to pick up a copy that released alongside the VHS tape back in the early 2000s. This is the same deal here. Pokemon Mewtwo Returns features the character of Mewtwo in a sequel to the first movie, of which I do have a re-release of. I have the first three in a re-release collection here. Mewtwo, first movie, Lugia, second movie, and a third movie, obviously. Now, I have this one also on VHS tape, I just decided not to dig it out. What I liked about the VHS tapes of these three movies, all of which I do have on VHS tape, is that they also had the Pikachu short. You know, the little short with Pikachu's vacation in this one, and then they went off to this big tree in this one, and then this one was, they're all in the rooftop, and they're trying, and Pikachu's trying to get back to Ash, because Pikachu thinks Ash is about to get rid of Pikachu because he's getting too old, but it's actually a birthday party. There's all sorts of nice little Pikachu shorts that the VHS tapes had, that these don't have. Maybe the singles, the original DVDs of these movies in their singular releases, still retained that Pikachu short, but this collection, sadly, does not contain them. This one didn't come with a Pikachu short. This was a special, so as to say. It is about 63 minutes long. It's not that long at all. And I believe they just aired this on TV. They didn't exactly put this in theaters. This is just a TV movie. And it covers some loose ends, so as to say. At the end of the first movie of Pokemon, Mewtwo erases the memory of Team Rocket, Ash, and his friends, but there's one person that we know still knows who Mewtwo is, and that is Giovanni of Team Rocket. Now, Giovanni of Team Rocket parted ways with Mewtwo near the start of the movie during Mewtwo's backstory. Mewtwo leaves the Vermilion Gym. He was that big hulking armored figure that blew up Gary's Pokemon easily. Now, roughly right after that, Mewtwo parted ways with Giovanni and left the Vermilion Gym to go start his world-ending Doomsday thing that Ash ended up fixing. And Giovanni kept his memories of Mewtwo ever since. So, during the Johto era, Giovanni has decided to raise an army and hunt Mewtwo down now that he's found where Mewtwo is hiding out, which is in some sort of plateau, hidden away from most people. A very, very hard to get to place where Mewtwo and his cloned Pokemon can live in peace. And we learned that the cloned Pokemon can reproduce. So that's great. They can live and reproduce and integrate themselves into the real Pokemon society as Mewtwo figures out his place in the world. Ash ends up reuniting with Mewtwo, and Mewtwo remembers Ash, but Ash does not remember Mewtwo, and then they have a little kinship there, and it gets pretty Dragon Ball Z-like, where Mewtwo is basically destroying Team Rocket's entire army until Giovanni releases some super high-tech device that he created specifically to control Mewtwo's power again, and then Ash and all the others have to stop the machine, break the machine, then Mewtwo gets revitalized in the mystical spring waters of this plateau, and then he uses his powers to wipe Team Rocket's memory of Mewtwo, and then he flies off to find a new place to live. But he doesn't wipe Ash's memory off this time. He instead leaves Ash's memory and his friend's memory intact. because he realizes that these guys they're not his enemies. He doesn't have to worry about and all that stuff. So they part as friends, and Mewtwo flies off to do his Dragon Ball Z thing somewhere else to protect his clone friends and all that stuff. It's a really nice little story, and I've watched it plenty of times, so I still have this integrated into my memory. So naturally, even though I haven't seen this since I've had a VHS player, which was maybe the last time I owned a VHS player was maybe 2008-ish. So probably the last time I've seen this movie was around 2008. That was a long time ago. I haven't watched VHS tapes ever since because I haven't had a VHS player, and I haven't really felt the desire to pick one up. The next VHS player I plan to get would be one of those VHS/DVD player combination machines that allows you to place a blank DVD into the DVD player and then put a VHS tape into the player and press record, and then it will record the VHS movie onto the DVD as you're watching it. That way you can put the DVD into a DVD player, like say your PlayStation 3, and it will play your VHS tapes. That's what I want to get eventually. I'm in no hurry to do that, but that's why I still have these VHS tapes, for that one day thing of eventually doing that again. But I can wait. I can be very patient about these things. I just felt like coming out here to talk about Mewtwo Returns, because I don't think it gets that much love. I do know that the first movie gets plenty of love. Everybody's talked about that one, but not too many people remember Mewtwo Returns, at least as far as I know. And not too many people remember that we even had this sequel. It might be a vague memory in your head, and then you go like, oh wow, because the last time you saw this was probably 20 years ago. So it'll restart that memory box of yours, and you'll go like, wow, I remember this. I have another one of these that I want to talk about. Not Pokemon movie, but another VHS tape, a clamshell that I dug out, that I do want to make another video on at some point in the future. Maybe this week, maybe next week. I don't know when. I don't plan these things. I just make it when I feel like it. I make a video when I feel like it, usually. So next time, maybe we'll talk about the next VHS tape that I found, or we'll talk about something else, like maybe the Red Ribbon Army arc of the Dragon Ball, OG Dragon Ball. Maybe by that time I'll have finished that, because I am closing on finishing OG Dragon Ball Season 3, the Season 3 physical thing, and the Red Ribbon Army arc concludes in Season 3. Pretty much the final 2 episodes of Season 1, the entirety of Season 2, and about half of Season 3 is the Red Ribbon Army arc. Pretty much half of the entire anime is the Red Ribbon Army arc. It is a huge, massive thing, and I'll bring out the manga books to show you how many of those also encompass the Red Ribbon Army arc. So we'll go do that thing. That'll probably be next time, or maybe it'll be the other VHS tape. I don't know. Either way, would I recommend Mewtwo? Definitely. I have another one of these movies, and that is Pokemon Genesect and the Legend Awakened. This is one of the newer Pokemon movies. Well, not newer, it's probably 10 years old now, but you gotta understand. I was here when the very first Pokemon movie dropped, like theaters. I was there, man. I was there for the very first one. I was there for the second one. I was in theaters for all 3 of these movies. Maybe not day 1, but I was there for this. I was here at the very start when Red version was brand new, flying off the shelves, okay? So when I say that this is new, it was newer. It's like X and Y era, maybe, the Mega Evolutions. I stopped playing the games after Generation 3, okay? So this was all new to me when I watched it, the Genesect Rebellion and the Legend Awakened. I picked this up primarily because this was Mewtwo, and I thought that this was going to be my Mewtwo, the Mewtwo from the first movie. No, sadly it wasn't. It's a different voice actor. I didn't listen to the Japanese language version, so I don't know if it's the same voice actor in Japanese, but it is a different voice actor in English. I was really hoping that it would be the same character. I really was. I was really hoping it was going to be the same Mewtwo Mewtwo, that Ash should finally meet up with Mewtwo again, and I was like, that was why I picked this one up. This is the only one of the newer Pokemon movies after Destiny Deoxys that I picked up. Yeah, because Destiny Deoxys was Generation 3. That was the final movie that I was there to watch. I didn't watch anything after that one until this one happened, and I did it for Mewtwo, and sadly, it wasn't my Mewtwo. Why am I bringing this up? Because this is primarily about Mewtwo. This whole video is primarily about Mewtwo, and how this seems to be the only one where a Pokemon that was introduced in the very first era got its own sequel. Mewtwo is an incredibly popular Pokemon. He's an incredibly popular character, a character in and of itself. In the Gen 1 games, I actually still have it, buddy. I still have it. This was my very first red version. This is the one that I got as a kid. Brand spanking new off the shelves at Toys R Us, right? Now, right in the very first Pokemon game, when you go to the Cinnabar basement, the Pokemon Mansion, you'll see a bunch of statues, and you click the statues, you can read little journals about the scientists that created Mewtwo, and that predated the first movie. They used those little storylines from the Pokemon Mansion to make the first movie. And then, eventually, people, me included, started to see comparisons between another very popular character known as Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. They even have similar they have very similar meme gifs, if that makes sense, where they're standing in front of something that is ablaze that they themselves have set fire to. Mewtwo set fire to the Pokemon Mansion, and he's standing there in front of the flames, and then he flies off. Sephiroth standing in front of Nibelheim on flames. You know that scene, it is burned into your memory, right? The Nibelheim Mansion, the Shinra Manor, the experiments on how to create the perfect being, the perfect Pokemon. It is paralleled, right? It was incredible. That is why I loved the first movie, and that's why Mewtwo is still my favorite Pokemon, because he's more than just a Pokemon. He's a character. He has a personality in and of itself. He talks and all that stuff, and he was cool. He was just plain cool, and that was probably why they demanded a sequel, and they gave him this sequel. And even Agent Domino, she's a pretty good character in this movie as well. She debuts in this movie. I don't know if she's in anything else, but she's pretty good in this. And Giovanni's definitely at his A game in this movie. I love the designs of the helicopters here. The Team Rocket is still the best villain organization in this entire franchise, bar none. Fight me, I don't care. Team Rocket is still the best. Giovanni is still the best leader. It is fantastic. This is a fantastic movie that, if you missed out on this during the early 2000s, during the early era Pokemon craze, you owe it to yourself to find a way to find this movie, to watch this movie. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. If it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be on something that Warner's owns. So maybe it's going to be on Max. If it's on Max, I can take a check real quick, maybe. According to my handy-dandy physical mobile phone device of internet searchingness, no, it's not anywhere. You can't stream this movie legally anywhere. But hopefully you'll find the terminology that I've used there to figure out where you could finally access this movie and watch this movie, because I definitely recommend finding a way to watch Mewtwo Returns. Either you dig up a VHS copy, you dig up a DVD copy, and you ship it to your house, and you put it in a PlayStation 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and watch it that way, or you find another way to watch it. You definitely owe it to yourself to watch Mewtwo Returns in some way, shape, or form, because if you're a fan of the first movie, this is Mewtwo's conclusion. This is the conclusion that it's pretty satisfying, both on the Team Rocket side, on the Ash side, and on the Mewtwo side. It's definitely worth taking a look.